Hey everyone, this is John Feneck with the Feneck Commodities Report. With me today is my YouTube partner, Don Durrett, founder of
Hey, John.
goldstockdata.com. How's it going?
Pretty good. Let's do another one.
Good. Let's do another one. For those of you that are in the US, we're going to be both speaking almost a month from today at Beaver Creek, which well, at least I consider the number one mining conference in the US. It's sold out this year. I think we're two of 14 speakers there. We're very honored to get a chance to talk to the audience. And we're going to be doing something live just like we do here. We don't script anything, so it's easy for us to get in front of a crowd for an hour and talk. We both have a lot of passion for the sector and hope that comes through to you guys as you watch us. So, Don, let's kick it off on the macro side. And I just wanted to talk about a few names first because you and I both follow these names every single day, but there's a few observations. One is that the HUI and the GDX, for that matter, the GDXJ, are all doing extremely well despite dips in gold and silver prices. As we saw Monday, the 11th, gold and silver were down substantially, and a lot of mining stocks were flat. I mean, some were actually up. CDE was up. There's a couple that did quite well. So we're seeing an environment right now that's not what we've seen in 2022, 23, or even 2024, where if we had a day like that where silver's down almost 2%, you can be sure SILJ is down 3 or 4. So is SIL. I mean, these stocks are not going to hold up, generally speaking, but they really did. And so we're seeing, dips being bought here, which I think is very bullish. So, we've interviewed a couple of gold names recently, Triumph Gold, TIGCF. They got played with today in the market. Big seller out there in Canada, forcing the U.S. shares lower. This is just an opportunity. I mean, when you see people out there just sit, there's two types of sellers, right? There's someone who's going to sit there, and we call that an iceberg, right? Just someone who sits there at a certain price. That's the price they're selling at in a limit order, and that's that. Those are kind of cool because you can see, okay, this guy's got 300,000 shares for sale. Yet gold's up 2% or silver's up 2%, and I'm going to buy all this stuff today because this guy clearly is asleep at the wheel. The ones that are more difficult are the ones we saw like in Paramount Gold today, PZG, where someone just puts a market order in for 200,000 shares and moves the stock from 71 to 67 in literally a couple of minutes. That kind of selling is scary for investors, but you have to look at, why did that happen? Well, it's probably just some rookie trader and or someone who wanted to dump a position that was up. Guys, we're up a lot in some of these names, right? PZG was trading at 35 to 40 cents for months. So, at some point, here in the 70s, someone probably said, hey, let me take 100% off the table. And so things happen, right? But if you see the longer term path in stocks like Triumph, TIGCF, and Paramount PZG, I mean, both of these stocks are going to work for different reasons. I mean, John Anderson was just telling us how much tungsten he has on his property, and that's not reflected at all in his 2013 report. If you look at the silver project he just acquired in Utah, they just picked that up 2 months ago. That's not, none of those ounces are figured into any type of plan. So, imagine when they do an updated PEA or PFS or anything in a year and a half from now, man, that stock is going to get a bid because people don't understand that a lot of these companies either did what John did and mothballed, the project for many, many months and didn't have the capital or didn't want to spend the capital to update the PEA, or we just got done talking to PZG and they are, in a better financial position, but they haven't even updated their report from 1750 gold. That's what the price was, Don, that they were using to evaluate their NPV, their net present value back then. So, tell us a little bit about that, Don. Like, I don't you think there's a trend out there that is flying under the radar where a lot of companies are kind of like Paramount, where they just did a good job of being stewards of capital over the last couple of years and they didn't overspend. And now they're getting ready to update these reports. I mean, when I see companies updating reports, it's almost always an update.
Yeah, so the last 2 weeks, I did a couple of videos. The reason why I did them is because exactly that these stocks are just unbelievably cheap, and I did 82 developers, and then I did 79 producers. And they both were 1 hour videos. The producer list I just did yesterday. I just feel like I need to share this with people because it's unbelievable how cheap these stocks are. Because once they double in value, which I think they will, then you lose 50% of the upside. So all these stocks that are like five baggers are going to be two and a half baggers. They're kind of juicy as five baggers, but they're not very juicy as two and a halves. And then the tens go from 10 to five. And I also think that we are on the precipice here of a breakout. I mean, we're seeing the price action. The price action definitely tells us, for instance, my portfolio is like an all-time high. I mean, it's been doing fantastically well. I just know that we're close to a correction. I think we're going to get at least a 10% correction, maybe 20. I don't know when it's going to come. So the HUI, it got to 475 yesterday. Now I don't think we've seen it much higher than that. We haven't seen 480. And today's at 473. That's off of a bottom of 200. It was at 200 in February of 24. So, we're well over up 100% off the bottom here. And the stocks are still cheap. But I think once the key here is silver. So silver's at $38, 38.44. Silver is really kind of telling us the story here. When silver gets above 40, I think that is going to be the train leaving the station. But until we get above 40, this correction that I think is going to happen 10 to 20% is out there. It's going to, you don't go in a straight line. So Newmont's at 68, which is still cheap. And until it gets to $80, it's still on sale, I think, because my target for Newmont's 300. So
okay, so that target of 300 though is factoring in 5,000 gold, correct?
Yeah. In the next 24 to 36 months, I think we get 5,000 gold and Newmont goes to 300. But if you once you get to $100, it's only two baggers. So it's like, so if you don't get in early, you're not going to get the big returns. But 68, it's pretty cheap at 68 if you're going to 300. Hecla was at like under $6 recently. Now it's up to 777. So that's how silver's, $38. You get above $40 silver and Hecla's healthy again. Now all they need is like one quarter at $40 silver, and Hecla's balance sheet gets, it's back to good shape, and Hecla goes over $10 easy. So I think the key here is silver. There's two things we're looking at. We're going to probably get a correction, 10 to 20%. But I don't think gold will go down 10. The 10 to 20 is in the miners. I think gold maybe will go down 8%, but I don't think it'll go down 10. I'm thinking 5 to 8. That's coming. I don't know when, but it's coming. Again, you don't go up in a straight line. But this all coincides with some type of a black swan that's coming. I don't know what it is, but something's going to break. Everybody seems to think that the economy is, we talked about this in our last interview. We talked about the economy, that everything is fine, but I just feel like not everything is fine. Something's going to break here. And when it does, that's when we're going to get our correction. But that's actually going to be what we need for these miners to really kick into gear. That's the fear trade I'm waiting for. That's when people start pivoting out of the Mag 7 and the S&P 500 and start looking for, okay, where do I pivot to? And gold sure looks nice. Well, if gold looks nice, there's going to be a percentage of people that think that the miners look nice. And it won't take very much money. I mean, the junior sector is teeny, teeny, tiny. Even the producers, there's only 125 producers out there. And so once you go below that level, once you get out of those 125, everything else is a teeny market. And so it won't take very much money to move those stocks. So I'll leave it there.
Don, is that 125 producers of silver or 125 producers of
total?
gold?
Both. Total. Yeah. Yeah, there's only 15 silver producers over 100 million market cap.
I'll give you one to look at. Don and I interviewed Serafino Iacono, who is the founder of Denarius Metals. So Don, and I know, many people don't understand the way junior mining works, but companies constantly need money for different things, right? And this company happened to go into production in Colombia. We both thought that was a good idea. The stock actually rallied after our interview up to the 50s, and now it's right back into the 30s because they did a financing. That financing was, I think, a life financing. I have to look at the terms, but it was a financing where at least some of the people could sell shares immediately. And that's a newer dynamic that started, I think, last year. I'm not 100% on that, but it's becoming more and more popular with mining companies. I'm seeing a lot of selling pressure following the private placement, if you will, rather than just waiting for months for that pressure to show itself, right? So that's the opportunity, people. When you see an offering like that, those are gifts in a bull market where you see a stock like Denarius that is in production and now just announced just yesterday that they're going to advance their Spain project. And it looks like they're going to get the funding for that, Don. I mean, that's new from where we interviewed with Serafino, because that was sort of like a down the road thing. He's moving that forward quicker than expected. And so, if you have two different projects in two different jurisdictions, one of which he's worked in for 18 years, you've got a leg up on the competition. Stock's at 35 cents US as we record this. The ticker is DNRSF in the States, and it's DMET in Canada. I'm going to take a second look at that because I just talked to him today, and he's like, man, I have no idea why my stock is trading this poorly versus peers, given how advanced we are versus some of our peers. And it makes sense.
Yeah, I said 125 producers, actually 145. So a little light there. So there's about 25 majors and about 60 mid tiers. So about 85 kind of decent sized stocks, and everything else is smaller. So about 85, 60 small producers, 85, but there's not that many.
Right. Okay. Well, why don't we bring our guest on, Don? So we can give Bruce enough time to chat with us today. We've got Bruce Garlick here from West Coast Silver, which is ticker WCE, and Bruce joins us from, I believe, Australia. Here he is.
Hello, John and Don. Appreciate talking to you, and thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, welcome,
of course,
Bruce.
So, Bruce, why don't you give us maybe 8 to 10 minute overview of West Coast Silver for our audience?
Yeah, sure. Look, West Coast, we acquired West Coast Silver in March. We got a 70-30 joint venture with a company called Alien Metal, which is listed on AIM. We're actually listed in Australia on the ASX. And we got two joint ventures actually out of it. We did a joint venture with Alien Metals and also with another company called Green Tech Metals, which is listed on the Australian Stock Exchange. The good thing from our perspective was that Elizabeth Hill mine is already a current a producing mine. It stopped production in the year 2000. And it was really it ceased production because the silver price got to about $5, so it was sort of becoming uneconomic for the guys. But it was an extremely high grade mine, 16,000 tons, and it produced 1.2 million ounces, and it was almost like a pure silver play. One of the few proper silver mines actually in the world. It's similar to an operation in Morocco called Bouazer. It's got some similarities to that operation, but the mine itself, extremely high grade, and only went down to 100 meters. It was air drill. It wasn't open stopes or anything like that, and it was a fairly basic sort of operation. Then they ceased production. We managed to acquire it from these two companies, and we've just completed a drilling program, 12 drill holes. There was a fair amount of drilling there before, so we've actually piggybacked on the back of that drilling. and we've got some really exceptional results out of the first 2 holes. We are getting more assays in the next week, and we're hopefully going to be having the same sort of great results out of all of that. So it's a very exciting time for us. In addition to that, we also have I define it as mine targets, which is the main sort of body. And then we've got near mine. We've got some great surface hits as well as rock chips. And we're only talking 2-3 Ks away from this actual mine. And then we've got the regional targets as well. In addition to that, I have engaged ERM, which is called CSA Global. They used to be CSA Global, and now ERM. They are my mining and geology consultants. These people are extremely clever. They've got PhDs, structural geologists, etc. And I'm also talking to a Canadian geologist who's a structural geologist. I'm looking for the best technical advice that we can get, and I think that's extremely important. So we've got all the recipe there for a great story. And we're certainly kicking some goals. We've just raised $6 million. We listed in March with $3 million in the bank, and just raised another 6. We could have got more if we'd wanted. Stock price was 3 cents back in March. It's now up to 20 cents. The market cap's risen to close on $66 million. That's $3 million jumped to 66. So we've actually done very well, and it augurs very well for the future.
That's great. Congratulations on the early success. Don, I'll turn it over to you first, and then I'll fill in the blanks.
Well, Bruce, could you share your screen and give us a little presentation?
Yes, sure. So this page shows interesting. This is one of the nuggets that we actually got out of the mine, the pre-existing mine. It's called the Karratha Queen. Karratha is the area that we're actually operating in. This is an extremely prospective area. 6 kilometers away from us is a large copper mine, which was an open pit mine, and we're now looking at going underground. It's a company called GRE. Its deposit is Wandoo. But this silver nugget is 140 kgs. It's currently in the Perth Mint and weighs approximately 3,500 ounces. Spectacular piece, actually. So just briefly, it's a West Australian silver story. We're 80 kilometers away from Karratha, which is a large city in Western Australia up at the top. We've got a proven production. We're on a mining lease, which is important for us because that allows us to drill, etc., without sort of approvals. In the 1 year, we got the 1.2 million ounces from 16,000 ton of ore. And we've now got 180 kilometer square consolidated land package. The geology is outstanding, 21 meters at 1,000 grams from 10 meters. So, and then we've got another one of 1 meter at 15,000 grams a ton. It's really quite impressive. In terms of growth potential, we've got the Elizabeth Hill mine site itself, and it goes along the Money Fault. We've got near surface open pit potential, which was demonstrated by our last drilling program. Surface material starts at about half a meter to a meter down, and we're right in high grade silver. And look, as you were saying, silver's approximately $39 an ounce, so it augurs well for us in the future. A corporate overview: 320 million shares on issue, share price 20 cents, market cap's 64 mil, cash we've got about 5.5 million in the bank, and enterprise value of close on $62 million. So, and it's a tightly held stock as well, which is good. This shows you the location of where we actually are. Karratha is a major oil and gas production site in Australia, Woodside, and we're 80 k's away on like a tar road, so we've got everything there, and good access to people as well as materials, drilling, etc. So it's all good. We've got outstanding geology. I'm not going to dwell on this too much. I mean, it's the grade is king. We just did a drilling program, as I said, of 12 holes. We've got results back on the 2 holes, and they're spectacular. You can see this on our website, so I'll just carry on. This is an example of the actual deposit itself. The yellow solid line is actually showing the footprint of the production, the area where we've been mining. It's very small, and this just shows you the the additional drill holes that we've got there. So that's where we are and how we're operating. This is just showing you some more outstanding geology that we've actually got. Just shows the drill holes. Some more. We've got a potential open pit as well, and that's something we're going to be exploring shortly. We've got all the right mining engineers, etc., and geologists. So we're looking at that. This actually is an interesting picture. It shows it says the silver lode was exposed at 82 meters during the past mining operation, and it really, this is almost pure silver. The Money fault is actually we're just sort of going to follow that through, and this is where we believe the silver is. It's what we're looking for is silver pods. And we're confident we're going to be finding it, sort of several more in the area, but it's really very, very open. This is the demonstration of the actual underground working operations. We're at about 102 level, and we've got the potential open pit on the right-hand side. We've got 2 shafts. We're going to be doing what we call a JORC resource, which is slightly different terminology to America and Canada, but we're working on it as we speak. And in fact, I'm going to mine site on Friday with the other geologists, and we're going to be doing some walking around and kicking some rocks. We've got significant growth potential. It's called gossinous material, and that's what we're looking for, is these gossins, and underneath the gossin is the silver pods. So that's actually what we're looking for. That's, I think, the same one. Sorry. Then this shows the significant growth potential that we've got. In other words, where's the next Elizabeth Hill? And we've done soil samples. What we're going to be doing, soil samples and rock chips, and got some float material as well. But we're going to be starting to doing trenching and some air core drilling, and that's going to happen, in my opinion, in the next sort of 4 to 5 weeks. So there's going to be plenty of news flow coming in this particular campaign. If we look at value, pathway, and advancement strategy, we've commenced site works. Inaugural drilling's done. First assays done. We're waiting for the assays on the other 10 holes. We've got near mine exploration and development, trenching, and also geochem and open pit. Then we're going to carry on with our drilling program, as I mentioned before. And then we've also got the regional exploration where we're doing mapping targets, etc. So that's essentially showing you what we've got. Our board is a very experienced board. You've got myself. I've been involved in gold mining and also PGMs, etc. I'm a CPA, plus I have a law degree as well. Tom Reddycliffe is a renowned geologist, very experienced, and also Rob Mosick is also got a bit of grey hair, and he's a very, very knowledgeable person. And in addition to that, I managed to engage Jared O'Donovan. Jared and I work very, very closely together. We're a great combination. He's ex-Sun Silver, the previous MD of Sun Silver, and he's just consulting to us. We basically just signed up for another 6 months. And our technical advisor is Ian Stockton from ERM Consultants. So that's really our presentation, gentlemen. And thank you for that.
Do you have a managing director? You show the board, but do you have a manager?
Yeah, that's essentially me. So I do that task as well.
Okay. So you said it's a JV. So you guys own 70% of it?
Yes, we own 70%. Yes.
Is there any chance for you to expand that?
Oh yes, absolutely. That's something that's it's on the table.
Are there any NSRs on the property?
So NSR, sorry, what is that?
Yeah, NSR is net smelter royalty.
No, there's not.
So there's no royalties.
No.
Okay. So this project you were mining in the year 2000. So
yes.
That was a while ago, 25 years ago. At that time, was there a mill there at one time, or how were they moving it, or how were they actually mining it?
Yeah, they mined it out, and they had like a centrifuge, and then it was separated the I use the word, the clumps of silver. They put it on a shaky table, and the silver sort of fell off. Then what they did, they didn't actually process it there. It was almost pure silver. So I know the previous operators. Actually, we had a coffee with him the other day, and he explained to me that he would take the I use the word the concentrate silver, and they would actually ship it off to South Africa, to the refinery over there in Johannesburg. So I'm not quite sure why they didn't take it to the Perth Mint, but anyway, that's actually what they did. And it worked very well for them. They got paid 95% up front. So, obviously there's still pure native silver there. The material that we've on the open pit on the first hole is actually what's the word? Sorry, just escapes me for the moment. But it's not actually native silver. It's sort of embedded in the soil. I just forget the name. But we've still got the as you go down further into the mining operations, there's the native silver still existing. So it's going to be an interesting process of production. How we actually do it, probably it'll be much the same as the first operators. But we'll probably put a little processing plant there as well. In addition to that, we've got a big processing plant at Radio Hill, which is about 15 k's away, and we can take the ore there if we want to. So this is it's a very mineable area, for want of better words,
So what are your steps for the next 3 years to get this into production? And is it permitted?
Oh, it's permitted, yes. So because it's a mining lease, we actually it is, as you say, permitted. Obviously, you've got to get, there's further government approvals to get. But as soon as you've got a mining lease, then it's a fairly simple operation. What we're doing is we've got these 12 targets that we've identified, and we're going to be walking the ground on Friday. And then we'll be doing our drilling program, trenching, etc., firming up and seeing if we've got any more of these gossans that are sticking out of the ground, and easy to sort of see the low flying fruit, for want of better words, and that actually then gives us these I use the word targets or prospects. In addition to that, we've got I use the word the mine as well, where we are looking at this open pit, and that'll lead us back into the production of the high grade material. So I would say, in 12 months' time, we'd really be trying to get an open pit mine going.
So do you have a target? I mean, are you going to try to get, like, I don't know, 10 million ounces, 20 million ounces? Do you have a target?
Well, it's difficult to put a specific number on it at the moment, Don. It's such a high grade, this thing, that you don't actually need much ore to make a lot of money out of it. It makes it an extremely interesting proposition. I've worked in large underground gold mines, etc., and it's all about throughput, millions of tons. This one is a bit of a different picture. And if we can get into these high-grade silver stopes again, or pods, you don't need much ore to be extracting 1 million ounces of silver. I guess we're at a stage now where we're trying to replicate what we did before with the first mine. We've only had control of it for 3 months, so it's not a long time, to be honest. And that's why I've got ERM involved, and I've got this Canadian geologist as well. He's going to be coming over. We're getting ourselves technically sorted out. That's I guess my message.
A couple of things that are exciting about your project. The first one is there are no other high grade silver mines that I'm aware of in Australia. You're the only one. Is that correct?
We're the only one. I mean,
that's exciting, right?
Exciting. Well, no, absolutely. And the interesting thing for me is the future prospect. So we've got a double-edged sword here. We've got a mining operation, an existing one, and it only goes down to 100 meters. Then it's open at depth. And the first thing I'm going to be doing in about 6 weeks is actually putting a deep hole down, because ERM have identified this target for us, which is extremely, can I say, exciting, for want of better words. And you only need 220 meters; it's nothing.
Is the mining lease good for all 18,000 hectares?
No, it's not. It's the mining lease. There's three components of this. So you've got the mining lease itself. And then you've got the 180 square kilometers. I use the word of, for exploration purposes. And that includes the 2 joint venture territories. But as soon as we've identified where, and we find more, I use the word more silver pods, we can apply for a mining lease, and it takes 2 years to get a mining lease. So we've got a number of streams happening concurrently here. We've got the mine production, we've got the near mine exploration, and then the regional. And we can start kicking gold straight away and getting planning. And we just raised $6 million, so we've got money in the bank to do this. And that's a big factor. And I have people backing us. We could have raised $11 million, Don. We chose to raise $6 million, which I think was smart, because the share price, we raised it at 3 cents, 11 cents. The share price is now 20, and this story is not going down. It's going up.
That was smart, because why raise it 3 cents when you can raise it 20, right? So your Elizabeth Hill lease, mining list, how many hectares does that cover?
Look, I'll just have to check, but it's I think it's 5 or 6 kilometers. It's not a huge area, but you don't need a huge area for what we're doing.
Right. So that area around the mine, the open pit area, that's all part of the mining lease.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's right on. It's almost right on. It's about 100 meters away from the head frame. So right. This is it's an amazing sort of geological feature. As ERM is saying, it's highly unlikely that you've just got one silver pod there. I'll share the Boas there little flyer that we've got with you as well at some point, which is extremely interesting. And Radio Hill was actually a nickel and copper mine, and that's like 15 k's away. This whole area is just full of it.
I've been saying this, so I might as well repeat it, that every million ounces of silver production is worth $50 million in free cash flow once silver gets to 100. So if your all-in cost is $50, which I think is a very conservative number, you can mine 1 million ounces, you should get at least 50 million in free cash flow. And then if you get a multiple of 10 on it, it's worth $500 million. So every 1 million ounces is worth $500 million, but you need to be able to have a long mine life. So if you can show that you can mine 1 million ounces a year for 10 years, it should be worth $500 million. So your company, all you need to do is find 10 million ounces. And it's a pretty good investment.
Exactly. And look, I actually worked in China with a Chinese oil and gas company, and the Chinese have an interesting philosophy. They say the longer you leave things in the ground, the more valuable the resource becomes, which I hadn't heard before. And I helped list them on Hong Kong. So it was very interesting, the different philosophies that different countries have. But you're absolutely right. And this is the way we're expecting silver to rise. And so, yeah, we're just getting our act together slowly and professionally. And we're not trying to get distracted, Don. It's so easy to get distracted. We've got to keep the focus,
So your team seems pretty small. Are you going to be adding a bunch of employees to
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. We're getting a CEO in, Jared Donovan, a great guy, and he's ex-Sun Silver. So, him and I work closely together. We've got both on the board, Tom as well as Rob are both experienced geologists and also ERM. So, I've got this company on a very technical level, and yes, I'm getting a new CEO. He'll come in to help me. I'm fortunate. I've got the CPA. I've been in mining a long time. I can basically do almost anything. So fairly, dare I say it, self-sufficient. But I'm going to be getting another board member who's very highly regarded in Western Australia, and also is very connected in the marketing side. So we're getting the CEO who will be technical, plus the marketing guy.
What about geologists? You going to hire some geologists?
Yeah, I am. I mean, as I said, look, ERM is. I've appointed ERM as my chief geologist, right? In fact, he started with me yesterday in our office, and they've been driving all our geology. We've got a team up as well at Karratha, who are sort of. They're the hands, the foot soldiers, for want of better words. They go out and do the soil samples, et cetera, et cetera. We've got a great big office there, and we've got a very competent geologist sitting in Karratha. Call him an exploration geologist. So we're actually very very organised, and this thing is taking off like a rocket. Actually, I guess my message is watch this space. And I'm not trying to get cocky or anything by saying that, because I'm very conservative. I've been around a long time, so it's step by step, Don.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks for being on. We really enjoyed learning about this. It's an interesting story, to say the least. I mean, there's no high-grade projects in Australia, so it's good. It's fun to learn, fun to listen to. It's exciting. Good luck. I hope you find 50 million ounces.
Thank you very much, Don. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bruce, I just had a couple questions to conclude. So I just see the Aussie listing right now. Are there plans to go into the US with some type of listing, like on the OTC?
Well, everything's on the table. Like first step for me is just get some more silver. And as Don says, get some of these silver pods. I'm really, very, very bullish on it. So step by step, we get into our mine as well. And then, yes, as I mentioned, look, I worked in Fairfax, Virginia, with an international company, Australian, as well as an American one. So, I know the NASDAQ well, and everything's on the table,
Yeah, great. I mean, I think that would really help your story. The U.S. market is very misunderstood by the mining community. There's a ton of interest here. I come from a finance background where I spent most of my career at JP and Merrill. And a lot of these people are calling. I mean, I literally in the last week, I've gotten 3 financial advisors that have called me I haven't talked to in over 10 years. And they're like, hey, I saw you on YouTube. And, I didn't realize you were a gold influencer these days. And, I mean, these people are coming out of the woodwork. But the interesting thing about those 3 individuals, none of the 3 manage less than $1 billion US. So if you get an advisor like that puts a bid on a stock like yours, I mean, I think the reason I say this, Bruce, is to help in the sense that those brokers and other brokers I know are, I'm 54. A lot of these guys are 65 plus, right? They've been working in the business a long time. They're tired of selling mortgages. They're tired of selling credit cards. They're like, hey, I'm going to be with my clients, my $1 billion book. And if it has to shrink by half, who cares? I'm going to move to an independent firm and I'm going to do it over here and I can buy whatever I want. And if you get someone like that, I have about 7 of these individuals as paying clients of mine right now. These guys are monster buyers of our sector. They sit out there and take blocks. They do things that a lot of the retail clients can't do. So I think that would be an interesting dynamic for your company. And a lot of people will balk at the cost sometimes, and I think it's a big mistake. It's going to cost for an OTC listing, let's say 50 to 70 grand. That's 3 or 4 conferences. Just don't do the conferences. Get the listing. I mean, I think that Don would agree with me there. We also didn't touch too much on the. Go ahead, Don. Yes, I'm going to say.
I was going to say that starting in July, OTC decided to create a new category called IG, which is, or is it IC? It's OTCI. Now I forget.
The QB and the QX are the ones I'm familiar with.
Yeah, they have a new one. They just came out. It's for like information, but it's actually very useful and it's less expensive. And a lot of the Canadian juniors are using it now. Like you can, Maritime is an example of a company that started using it, but they're several. So they have a new way that you can list on OTC that's very inexpensive. Started July 1st.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, that's great advice, and thank you very much for raising that, John. Sure. I don't balk at the cost because I just see it as a great opportunity, and I'll follow that through. So appreciate the comment, and I totally agree with you.
Yeah, of course. The other thing I wanted to comment on was the share structure, because I had to step away for a moment. I knew you threw a slide up that I think it was around 162 million shares, if I remember correctly.
It's 320 million shares.
Okay, so that doubled. Okay.
Yeah,
320.
Yeah.
So that's not atypical for an Aussie company, just so our audience knows, to have more shares out. Could you tell us how much of that is owned by the gentleman you showed us a picture of, the board, and tight shareholders like funds or institutions, please?
Oh, it's tightly controlled. It's over 55% is controlled by us, and the company that provides the finance and is our financial. I'll use the word broker, etc. They own about 20%. And so it's really tightly held. So which is good. It gives us stability, gives us security. And they also have a vested interest in making sure that we succeed and we can get everything we want. I'm very close to them, and 320 million shares in Australia is actually very small. A lot of these exploration companies are 4 or 5 billion shares at 0.004 of a cent, and that's not where I want to go. So we're going to keep the capital structure very, very tight, and I don't want to be issuing a lot of shares.
That's great to hear. Yeah, Don and I appreciate that, and I'm sure shareholders here in the U.S. and Canada would as well. So thanks a lot for coming on, Bruce. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, gentlemen, great to meet you, and it's fantastic to have the opportunity. And hopefully, in 6 months' time, Don, I'll be giving you an update on the couple of million ounces of silver, mate.
Excellent. So I did a quick check. It's called OTCID.
Oh, thank you very much.
So And you can do a little research on that. I know it's an easier way to list.
No, thanks. And John, if you've got any of your wealthy investors that would like to come and pay us a visit, I'll introduce them to Perth, and I'll take them up to site and show them the mine.
Great, yeah, we'd love to set up a little due diligence trip at some point down the road.
Oh, it'd be lovely to have you. It'd be an absolute pleasure.
Great. Well, thank you, Bruce. So this has been Bruce Garlick with West Coast Silver. The ticker again, WCE. And thank you, Bruce. If you don't mind just going off camera now, Don and I would like to summarize for our investors. And we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Go well. Bye-bye.
You were the one who brought this to my attention. I have an account that's US based, so I don't have the ability to buy Aussie stocks like this outright, and that's why I was asking you about the OTC listing, which is encouraging. So, give us your overview of what you learned today.
Yeah, so I reached out to Gerard. He was the managing director. That's what they call the CEOs over in Australia. He was the managing director of Sun Silver, and I wanted to get the story on Sun Silver, but he left Sun Silver. And now he's affiliated with West Coast, so he brought up West Coast. And it's the only high grade project in Australia. The issue here is this is a bit of a drill story, which always adds risk. But if you're lucky, I mean, if they can find 10 million ounces, they're going to do fairly well. So last time they found 1 million ounces and only 16,000 tons of ore. 2,100 grams per ton, 7 ounce per ton head grade. But it's drill stories always add risk. So you have to get excited. You want to chase high grade. Investors love high grade. So if they throw out some good drill holes, the stock probably is going to go up. It's bounced off the bottom. I mean, it's been a 5-bagger since they listed. So it's trending. Investors like it. They like high grade. But, they don't have an historical resource. They have some really good drill holes. This is really kind of this is kind of like for a specialty investor to a certain extent. There's a lot of people that like stories like this. They like to look at the geology. They like to chase the drill results. But for me, it's not quite. I prefer stories that have a little stronger risk reward. But I'm going to keep my eyes on it. That's for sure. I'm going to watch the drill holes. And if I see that this thing might get above 20 million ounces, then I'll start doing the math on it.
Yep. And it sounds like they successfully raised 6 million. I don't know if you picked up, but Bruce said he could have raised a lot more. That's encouraging. When you look at that slide he showed us of the board, Bruce and his two other gentlemen there all had 35 plus years of experience each. So, they've been around the block, which I like. And they don't have an inflated share count. And it seems like he's determined not to get it to the billions that you see in Australia sometimes, which is also very positive.
Well, if they do find some more very high grade silver, the cost is going to be a lot lower. So again, my math is $50 all in. So if they get that high grade, I mean, it might be $20 all in. So they could be making $70 an ounce. That would be $70 million in free cash flow. So if we get the $100 silver and they're mining 1 million ounces a year, the free cash flow is going to be somewhere between 50 and 70. So that's pretty lucrative.
One thing we should also point out, I took notes on this and I wanted to make sure I didn't mishear this. I don't know if you noticed this, Don, but they said about the open pittable situation that might be only 12 months to something like that. Is that right?
Yeah. He's wants to fast track it. So he's got a mining permit. So I guess they can get permits fairly quickly. In Australia, they know how to mine. I mean, they've been doing this for generations. So they find some silver at surface and basically start digging it up and put it in the mill. So yeah, he's talking, maybe 12 months I can get this thing up and running. It depends on their drill. It depends on their success, their drill holes. But if they can average anything over 60 grams, it's 70 $5, we go to $40 silver, $80 a ton. It might be economic.
Sounds
I saw
interesting.
it's not high grade. Some of those drills were, fairly low grade at surface, but I don't know where the breakout point is, but maybe 60, 90, I'm pretty sure 90 grams is probably going to be economic. 60 might be economic.
Mhm. Okay. Well, yeah, any story going into production in the next 12 months, even to a small scale, is pretty darn good timing, because the cost per ounce, the all-in sustaining cost, we didn't get to that. Obviously, it's a newer story, but if it is reasonable, under 25 an ounce, like, you can make a ton of money in this market at 40 plus silver, and that's exciting. As you know, Don, we interview a lot of guys in the silver space that are 3 to 5 years away. That's the way it is, right? The permitting
Yeah.
in other parts of the world is just so
Yeah.
slow.
The ideal path for them would be to get an open pit and then use that money to drill underground and then
Mhm.
look for the really high grade underground. That would be the ideal scenario here.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, interesting. Thanks for bringing it to us. And we'll leave it there. Don, always a pleasure. And thanks to all of our listeners for following us on Twitter, as well as here on YouTube and all the other platforms like Spotify. We really appreciate all the nice comments you guys have left for us over the last couple of years, and hope we can continue that trend for you. So thanks, everyone, and have a great day.